Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shane Jemison and a special presentation by Chickasaw Nation TV.
Good evening, Oklahoma. Ladies and gentlemen, actions express priorities. For generations, the Chickasaw Nation has consistently expressed its actions through its priorities by one simple mission, but a bold idea that has reigned true in Chickasaw country. To enhance the overall quality of life of the Chickasaw people for over 2 decades has been the vision of Governor Bill Anatubby and all the servant leaders representing the Chickasaw Nation. Whether it be innovating rural health care across Chickasaw country, serving as an example in Indian country, whether it be through education or the 300 plus direct programs and indirect programs and services the Chickasaw Nation provides for youth, families, elders, and veterans. The Chickasaw Nation has continued to serve its people and be a partner throughout Oklahoma. Today I want to discuss very briefly the importance of water throughout the communities in which we all live. I want to walk you through how we plan to long-term focus on the importance of being stewards of our water, to focus on long-term economic growth, not just for Chickasaw country, but for all of Oklahoma. But before we get into that, I think it's important to understand why and what has led to water becoming a forefront issue nationally. So many of you remember 2014, the Flint water crisis. But realistically, the Flint water crisis happened much before we heard about it in the national news. As a matter of fact, 8 years before. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it was not till 2009 the community of Flint, Michigan realized that they were $25 million overhead in debt to be able to find an alternative water solution and to be able to address proper infrastructure needs within their community. As time progressed, youth and families throughout the Michigan area began to have issues with lead contamination as they found. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you, If we do not focus on building sustainable solutions and being stewards, we can have the same problems with water infrastructure here in our backyards. So how do we begin focusing on building towards sustainable infrastructure to continue our significant economic growth in the region? Let's give you a brief overview of our water infrastructure systems here in Oklahoma. According to the 2060 Oklahoma Comprehensive Water Plan, more than $20 billion will need to be spent to not by 2060, but to simply modernize our systems here in Oklahoma. Systems including our drinking water systems, our wastewater systems, which equates to more than 11% of our Oklahoma economy. Just within our south central region of Chickasaw Country, there are more than 80 water systems within the region that are in desperate need of infrastructure modernization. So what is the importance, and how do we begin to start focusing on that? The importance is we have to look at support for long-term and sustainable economic development, not just in southeast Oklahoma, but all across the state. By promoting sensible and sustainable water use and recognizing that we must not only have a water system for drinking water and consumptive use, but in addition for our irrigation systems and other systems as well. But this starts by unifying each interest relating to water and coming up with a consensus of how we long-term deal with these decisions. So the Chickasaw Nation in 2018 established a Natural Resources Office with the mission of supporting science-based planning in support of implementing water systems and being a partner throughout Chickasaw Country and beyond, to offer strategic approaches that promote consensus and unity through objectives relating to long-term key stakeholders. In addition to incentivizing research priority criteria to continue enhancing the quality of life of Chickasaw people, through prioritizing best management practices, which I'll discuss more in a moment, as well as assessing resources and infrastructure security. So how do you begin to start moving as big of an idea and a needle as such? It can't be done alone. As I mentioned, unity and consensus. So we work strategically each and every day with our partners within the federal government, within state government, as well as nonprofit organizations, but the most important being local governments and local communities, because the local governments and communities are the heart and soul that will continue to promote economic development within those regions. So just since 2011, a relatively modest investment of Chickasaw Nation resources have been incentivized to promote economic growth throughout Chickasaw Country. So now I want to give you a couple of examples of how we focused on unique solutions to dealing with some of these watershed, water quality, water quantity related issues. And one of those is by focusing on being a partner within watershed organizations within the communities. So there's two specifically in Chickasaw Country that we've worked with within the last couple of years. But the idea is to provide a grassroots approach, local-based organization that wants to focus on sustainable management for the surface water resource issues within the area. They want to support sustainable stream water quality and quantity within the area to ultimately enhance economic prosperity and implement best management practices. So one of those is within the Blue River watershed in Johnston County. That is a primary water source for northern Johnson County as well as the city of Durant. Another that we work with very closely is the Lake of the Arbuckles Watershed Association, which is the primary resource for Sulphur, Davis, and Murray County, as well as the Carter County, Ardmore, and surrounding communities. So I mentioned best management practices a moment ago. Some of the best management practices that we focus on in partnership with the Arbuckle Rangeland Restoration Association, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs is promoting and providing prescribed fire assistance to local landowners as well as governmental landowners within the region. So what is the benefit of prescribed fire, and how does it relate to water? Studies have shown that over time, by mitigating the invasive species of eastern red cedar, you were able to, number one, mitigate allergens within the air, as well as promote more water quality through more quality soil health, which has a significant agricultural return, as well as additional water quality enhancements. One eastern red cedar equates to 14,000 gallons of water per year. So on a scale, what does that look like? An average household per year equates to almost 30 gallons of water. And the average household is 4 people. There are hundreds and hundreds of trees scattered all throughout watersheds across the state. In addition to working with our watershed associations, we also focus on providing community resource assessments and resources for communities to be able to determine their water economic needs, their supply and demand, and identify potential backup sources. And each community has different issues relating to their water, and we ensure to work with them on those special needs as well as address some of their infrastructural needs by being a fiscal and a research partner while focusing on reliability of water as well as tribal growth. One of the projects that we've worked in partnership with the Oka Institute and East Central University on is a drought contingency plan addressing these issues here. Pieces of the drought contingency plan include showing the map of what the water system looks like. A lot of these water systems do not have existing physical maps of their water infrastructure systems. We also ask, what do you have in place in case we don't have a year of lots of rain like we've had this year in Oklahoma? Are you prepared for the worst relating to drought? So some of the communities that we partner in to address some of these needs include the city of Tishomingo, the capital of the Chickasaw Nation. A couple of projects we work on regarding that is the Bureau of Reclamation. We work in partnership with them as well as Murray State College in Tishomingo on an irrigation planning grant. We've also been working to help them find a regional water supply within the region. Additionally, in the community of Sulphur, we of course work a lot with the Arbuckle Watershed Association. We've been helping them to look at ways to regionalize their water resource, as well as address water quality issues relating to the water supply. And finally, projects within Ada, Oklahoma. We've also been working with them on an irrigation reuse system, finding an alternative water supply, and also in partnership with the Oka Institute on a hydrology study. Most importantly, though, in order to come full circle to address all of the needs that we've addressed today, we must ensure that we are educating, engaging, and empowering not just the next generation of youth, but also civic leaders to understand our long-term water quality issues and how important they are for sustained economic growth and to ensure that Oklahoma continues to move forward. And we have to do that in unity. So I go back to action expresses priorities. The actions of the Chickasaw Nation are not just to express the needs of the Chickasaw people, but are to address the needs of all Oklahomans. Thank you.